Embedded within the curriculum of communications technology is the expectation that students use technology to communicate ideas in a variety of media, such as print, web, video, and images. This immediately presents barriers to those who have disadvantages in accessing this technology. It is readily apparent how money can influence this access and create injustices, but on a different level, there are other less apparent obstacles that disadvantage some learners. These barriers are less obvious, but present nonetheless, and they are difficult to overcome because of their nature. Within our schools, the dominant voice of instruction is in English, and as such so too is the language of all our software. The software in our classes and even the operating systems behind them are all designed in English. The tools we must use to allow students to develop and demonstrate their skills have an inherent obstacle built in for students whose first language is not English. Even where English language learners are given accommodations in other classes, or tools such as pocket translators, these devices or dictionaries regularly falter when it comes to the technical language and terms used in both the technology, in the classroom, and the curriculum. This issue is one that is not readily obvious until it is witnessed in the classroom. At my last practicum placement, I noticed that there was an issue of language barriers between the teacher, myself, and the students. The classroom consisted of approximately 7 English language learners, which were all having trouble interpreting instructions. The issue stemmed from the fact that communication technology deals with many technical terms that do not translate over to other languages. For example, I was teaching a lesson on file types and graphic design, and one student, an exchange student from Greece, had trouble understanding the technical term, bitmap. I noticed that he had pulled up the on-screen dictionary on his computer, and plugged this technical term in order to find its meaning. The student looked puzzled, and even more confused than before. I wondered why that was, and so I approached the student in order to find out. This is what I saw. The student had plugged in one word, and received a 3-word translation, with each word being more confusing and unrelated to the real translation than the last. This made it quite hard to teach to young Jimmy Polychronopoulos to follow along in class, and communicate with his group members. This is typical of the challenges that English language learners encounter when they try to translate a technical term that they have never heard before into their language. That word, bitmap, directly translated into Greek means tables of binary digits. This literal translation did not help the student. There was another English language learner in the class that had brought in her own laptop. On it, she had the same software that the school was running, but she had downloaded the language packs which allowed the software to display the menus in her own native language. The student, who was very good at understanding the theory behind graphic communications, as well as expressing herself on the computer, excelled in the course, and the reason for this was that her creativity was not being stifled by software language barriers. I approached the IT department in order to find out if it was possible to provide access to these language packs for my students. They told me that it would be too costly and time-consuming for them to provide these language packs to my students.